What's going on YouTube? Cloverbells here, back with another Scarlet Violet video, and today we're going to be continuing on with our early Regulation I team building series, and we're going to be observing Lunala and Miraidon today. So this is another very strong pairing that I like right now in the early goings of the format here, just because of the synergy that these two have together. Previously, we did do a Miraidon squad with Miraidon and Calyrex Ice Rider, and Lunala can offer like some similar ideas here, but Lunala obviously can do a couple things that Calyrex cannot. For example, it does get access to Wide Guard here, which is excellent as a supporting move next to Miraidon here. And technically, Lunala will be a very, very good supporter, restricted on a lot of different teams. Hence the reason why it has seen an increase in usage. The same reason for Zamazenta. I feel like you can even use Zamazenta Miraidon for the same reason, just because you do have access to Wide Guard. And also Zamazenta, gives you a physical restricted combined with a special attacking restricted. So there's a little bit of balance there. And then Lunala, even though it's another special attacker, the one thing that Lunala can do that maybe Zamazenta cannot do is you also get access to Trick Room. So this is going to be, great against some of the more hyper offensive teams that want to try and outspeed Miraidon. From that sense, you can, kind of pressure those ideas and then just click Trick Room, and then you're good to go after that, right? Now, I like Lunala even more in Regulation I, just because, again, you can kind of fit Lunala into its more natural role here, whereas back in Regulation G, Lunala had too many things to do, and sometimes it kind of struggled a little bit to try and do those things. It was trying to be offensive and supportive at the same time, and sometimes that was kind of hard for Lunala to do. But now that you have a strong nuking restricted next to it, now you can say, okay, I don't necessarily need to be dealing so much damage. I can deal some damage, but really my job is to be a more support-oriented, restricted, while dealing, big chip here and there to put things in range for Miraidon later. But ultimately, my job is to click Wide Guard. My job is to click Trick Room. So this way, I can have the appropriate speed here and force the opponent to not go for their broken spread moves, maybe go for more suboptimal single target moves. And then this way, Miraidon and others can do the job that they need to do, okay? So I really like this pairing, okay? And then in reality, there's a couple ways that you can do this. You can opt for something like the screens idea again, with Grimmsnarl. And, I really like Grimmsnarl in this format. I feel like I'm going back to like the early Clover days. If you've been following the channel back in Sword and Shield, you know that like 80% of the teams that we built had a Grimmsnarl on it. It's one of our mascots on the channel. It's one of the emotes that you get if you do a tier sub, right? It's secretly the Cloverbell's mascot. Yes, we understand, like, my favorite Monticello is Steel, but it's not even in the game, right? Grimmsnarl is actually in the game. So now that I get to use Grimmsnarl a little bit more, I feel much more at home, with actually playing this game. So I just like screens, and I like ruining damage calcs, and I like outbulking things. And I know some of you guys feel the same way. So welcome back Grimmsnarl into this format. I almost want to put this in the S tier when I do my tier list. But anyway, you can kind of build it like this. And then after that, you can do something like this with Iron Hands. And then from here, your other two options kind of depend on where you want to take the team. I've seen some ideas where you can also opt for Ursaluna on teams like this, right? So what you can end up doing is, for example, you can click Volt Switch on your Miraidon, then you can click Trick Room on your Lunala, so you deal some chip damage first, then you get your Ursaluna in, already locked and loaded next turn with your burn boost with Facade, and then Lunala, of course, can sweep alongside the Ursaluna. Don't forget, you can still click Earthquake next to your wide guarded Lunala, right? So, that's another really, really nice combination here. And then in some instances, you can also go for Discharge, with your Miraidon. You can do that next to Lunala. If you click Wide Guard, you can also pivot it out into Ursaluna and click Discharge next to Ursaluna. If you want to, explore that idea, you can definitely do that. I have seen that, in some online laddered play. But if you want to play it a little bit more standard, then yeah. So you've got your screen setter, you've got your fake out, you got the speed control here, and Wide Guard user with Lunala. So you got a lot of good things going here. If you want, you can go a little bit more faster, and instead of Grimmsnarl, you can still opt for more natural Miraidon teams to just go for Whimsicott, and then you can still add redirection on the team by either going for one of the Ogerpons here with the Heartflame Ogerpon or even the Cornerstone Ogerpon. This also fits in relatively nicely. If you want to go a little bit more offensive, all right, even more offensive, right? Instead of the Ogerpon, you can also go for Chi-Yu over here, and Chi-Yu works very well with Miraidon and Lunala just because, again, Beads of Ruin is going to allow these guys to do even more damage, and you can also pressure the Calyrex Shadow Rider, especially if you have a Choice Scarf on you, so this way you don't necessarily need the Whimsicott to help you outspeed. You can just naturally outspeed it and then, you know, force out a Terra potentially, maybe make it protect or force it out and get better board positioning because you have that faster Chi-Yu on your side of the field, right? So you can definitely do something like this, or you can do another cool thing and still go for Grimmsnarl and be even more bulkier and even more slower and more supportive, but go with this. You can go with instant Iron Hands Grimmsnarl, right? Double fake out in screens, okay? And then you can opt for something interesting like this where you can go with a calm mindset, okay? Because again, you have the double fake out, you have the screens, you can even slap on a redirection mon here, maybe like a Cornerstone Ogerpon or something, but you can also go like Calm Mind Lunala with stuff like this. So I do like that option, you know, and there's lots of different ways to do this. And then even then, what you can also do is also slap on Urshifu onto teams like this, right? And still put on the Ogerpon Heartflame, right? And then this is another very balanced, solid Lunala team here. And that almost looks like the team that we have at the bottom 6 that you see on the bottom of your screen. Yes, is this one of those Clover teams? Oh, absolutely. Okay, so you can definitely do this variant if you like. But yeah, now that I've shown you some different ideas, again, the whole idea is to, you know, you can start slow by mitigating damage with Grimmsnarl Screens, okay, and then fight for board positioning where you can, you know, deal a bunch of chip damage with Lunala and friends, and then use your Miraidon as your late game cleaner once you've removed all of its threats, right? And that's really how I envisioned, you know, a Lunala Miraidon team like this. You lead Lunala with some of these guys, and then just pressure with Trick Room and Wide Guard ideas. You know, Screens is going to help you outbulk everything, and, you know, you just go from there, especially when you have something like Iron Hands on your side. Like this thing with Screens is just unbreakable, and then you just start going for like these hard-hitting drain punches, you know, +1 drain punches, because not necessarily +1, but, you know, the Cork Drive boost drain punch, right? You already have the Assault Vest, so you're already super bulky on the special defense side. Now you add Light Screen and Reflect, and if this was an Incineroar, this thing is not dying anytime soon. So, you know, sometimes secretly the Iron Hands can become the sweeper on both of these mons team, right? And again, the whole point with Lunala, again, with, you know, the Wide Guard support, is sometimes these Miraidon teams have a little bit of trouble with not only the Shadow Rider, but also the Ice Rider, especially because you are a Dragon type there. So to be able to neutralize that a little bit with Wide Guard, okay, make it so that you can only click high horsepower, which is great news, because again, you can actually live the high horsepower, but the Glacial Lance is going to be very, very hard hitting. And then you pressure it right back, you know, with something like Moongeist Beam. And if you have a Meteor Beam set, right, that just pretty much KOs it if you already have that +1 boost. So Calyrex Ice Riders have to be aware of that as well. So lots of ideas that you can do with Lunala and Miraidon here. But ultimately, you know, we'll start slowly with some of our variations there, and then we'll build each of them and showcase them in a couple of games. So this way you get in a sense of how some of these squads are supposed to play. Okay, so let's start with our first variation with this pairing. Okay, so our first variant will be actually a Meteor Beam set. So you can still have access to Wide Guard, and you can still have access to Trick Room, okay? But this will be a Power Herb Meteor Beam set here. And I still like Terra Fairy, just to be able to resist the dark damage and also to neutralize your Ghost weakness. And the advantage of the Meteor Beam set is that, you know, you can pretty much one-shot Incineroars and Chi-Yus, which is really nice. Okay, you can just remove them off the field and not have to worry about them, because if you don't have Meteor Beam, then you have a little bit more issues to try and deal with them. You know, if you have the Terra Fairy Moonblast stuff, that'll chip it, but it won't KO it, right? So it's like a 2-shot there, but at least with Meteor Beam, you could just instantly remove both of those off the field on the first turn. So I like these two, okay? And then after this, I still like Grimmsnarl, and I still like Iron Hands here, and this is always like a very solid 4 to build with. You know, just screens and fake out pressure, and you can also go with speed control here with Thunder Wave, which is insane for potential hacks, right? So that's why you play for it. And then you can go for a Fire Water Grass Core with the Ogerpon Heartflame, or you can also go with the Iron Bundle / Urshifu to round it out here. So either way works. So depending on you as a player, either one can get the sash here. Either you can go Sash Urshifu, or you can go Sash Iron Bundle, depending on what you want to do as a player. But, you know, I'm just going to go with the Sash Bundle. And what I like about Iron Bundle is that with Core Trap, again, you get to outspeed these Shadow Riders, but you also outspeed Fluttermane, right? And Chenpao, because you have 136 speed, which is 1 point faster than the base 135 Pokemon here, right? So you always have that Icy Wind spread move for that -1, and then your own Miraidon will be able to outspeed those things and nuke them down. And, you know, they can't hide behind their Sash anymore. So I really like Bundle on these teams here. And then Freeze Dry just is so punishing against stuff like Urshifu and another Miraidon, for example. And then you still get access to Encore, right? And non-Prankster Encore, but a fast one, is very useful, especially when you have to deal with Indeedee, you know, Psychic Terrain stuff, and, you know, your Whimsicott or Tornadus can't really do it, but your Iron Bundle can do it, right? So I really like it. Okay, so it's almost like Whimsicott is still around. You know, you still have the speed control with Thunder Wave, and you still have the speed control with Icy Wind, and you still get Encore here. Okay, you got the screens, you got the fake out pressure, you got the redirection, and you have the other forms of speed control with Trick Room here. So this team is pretty well balanced, okay, for what you want it to do, right? And then Miraidon here, we'll just go with the choice specs, of course. Very standard set, nothing too crazy. Again, just Electro Drift, you know, Big Dragon Nuke with Draco Meteor, and then, you know, Dazzling Gleam for your fairy move here. Terra Fairy is still pretty good. Grimmsnarl here. So one thing about Grimmsnarl here is, you know, you don't have the Farigiraf anymore. So sometimes you're a little bit more prone to fake out. So what you could do here, you can still go with the light clay set with the screens. But what I've also been testing is actually Cobra Cloak. So now if you really want to do it, you know, you can't, because, you know, you don't get faked out here. So I do like that idea. And I still like Foul Play. I still like Reflect. Okay. And Light Screen, of course. And then the Thunder Wave Hax Play. If you really want Spirit Break here, you can also do that. Otherwise, you can also go with the Light Clay set here if you want more extended turns of screens. But the way I see it, now that you have like 2 restricteds, you know, games are, you know, gonna go a little bit more quicker because there's more damage going around, so less turns. So you don't need 8 turns of screens. I feel like sometimes, you know, just 5 or 4 turns is enough. Okay, and in most cases it is. Okay, so I still like this, and then you can still go Terra Ghost, just because it's another Terra option available to you. You don't want to, at the very least, you don't want to get nuked with the extreme speed shenanigans from like Dragonite Chenpao ideas. So you still have that going for you here. Then the Iron Hands. Okay, I still like our Terra Bug set that we've been using in our more recent Miraidon Calyrex team building video. I still like Terra Bug here. I like Assault Vest, of course, and very standard set with Fake Out, Drain Punch, Heavy Slam, and Low Kick here. Okay, Ogre Pond, also very standard. Ivy Cudgel, Follow Me, Redirection Support, Wood Hammer, and then Spiky Shield, right? Then the Iron Bundle, we've already identified this, and then this one can also go Terra Ghost, so this way you can avoid such fake outs over here. And if you really want to, you can also go like Terra Ghost Miraidon, right? But I feel like the Fairy is just really, really good damage here. So all in all, I like this 6 here. So just in terms of like creating some EV spreads here, the one thing that you can consider is, you know, just trying to survive the Urshifu single strike calc, right? So you're still going to go modest. You only need 1 point of speed. This thing is going to be thriving under Trick Room. I'm still going to go to about 220 investment here in terms of my EVs. I get it to 240 HP, which is a nice factor of 16, just in case teams want to bring their Rillaboom against your Miraidon. So this way I get perfect recovery there. If you do a little bit of math, 240 divided by 16 is going to give you 15, right? Otherwise, if you do go 239 or if you go like 241, you're going to get decimal values when you divide by 16, and it's going to round your recovery down. You don't want to do that. So let's keep it with a nice even number here. And then 140 defense, you could even go like 148 if anything, right? This is also like pretty good just for your survival for the Urshifu, right? And I believe it's actually just 140 there. Then your EV bump here, right? You're gonna go to 108. Yeah, normally you can go to 100. I've seen this before, but remember, we're going for the +1 boost with the meter beam, so we want a nice solid even number. So instead of going to the bump here, we're gonna go 1 point over and go to 188. So this way, with the +1 boost, we get a nice solid even number, nice solid whole number instead of a decimal, right? Because if this was an odd number like this, it'll round it down because, you know, decimals in Pokemon doesn't exist. It always rounds down. You want that nice solid whole number. And as I say this, if you don't know what EV bumps are and you're trying to learn how to create EV spreads for Pokemon like what we're doing here, like what we've been doing with our other team building videos, make sure you comment below asking, what are EV bumps? I also have a whole video on this where I go through several examples slowly, step by step, to show you what are EV bumps. But if you don't know what they are, comment below asking what are EV bumps and I will reply and respond to you. All right. But this is the second bump, the second benchmark for Lunala here. And after this, you just have 36 EVs left over. You can just dump them here into special defense. That's really all you have left there. And that's all that's really remaining. Miraidon here, you can go for like, some bulkier sets here, right? So I've seen some stuff like this where you can go like 44 HP. You can go 4 here, all right? About 196 here. Right, this was the bump here for Miraidon, max speed here, and then dumping the rest here into special defense. You can definitely do this, all right? There's nothing wrong with this. I still like max speed modest Miraidon if you like that. Otherwise, if you want to go a little bit slower, I know you can definitely do something like this, where you can just put it at about like just to outspeed a Landers, right? You can go like 169, and then after this, the rest of these EVs, you can just invest them into your physical bulk. Right, you can just dump them into HP or dump them into defense. So you could even do something like this, right? So 192, another good solid number for Rillaboom Grassy Terrain Recovery. Okay, 192 divided by 16 is 12. Okay, and then you still have 4 points in your defense. You still have your max special attack here, and your speed, you're much slower. Okay, but at the very least, you have quite a bit of bulk here where you can take some attacks. Right, and you still have a good solid HP number here. Otherwise, you can just say, nah, I'm just gonna go max speed Miraidon, okay, and modest 252 is all I really need out of my Miraidon. I've got my screens. I'm just gonna be chilling behind it. I'm good, okay. And if you want that, perfect. That's totally fine as well. But I'm just showing you options of what you could do with your Miraidon here. The Grimmsnarl, I'm still gonna use the same Grimmsnarl set here. I still like Impish, okay. Gonna go almost max HP here. We're gonna find that bump here again. 116 is what we want, and then just about 1 or 2 points in speed, right? 1 point in the attacking stat that has 0 IVs. I don't know why, and then dumping the rest here into special defense there, right? Very standard Grimmsnarl set. It's what we've always been using. Well, almost always what we've been using in Sword and Shield. Best of both worlds here. It's never failed me. Iron Hands. Okay, so again, let's go for that 240 benchmark number. Let's go Brave Nature with no speed. Obviously, just to be the most optimal Trick Room Super we can have. Okay, here it is, 84 HP. We can max our special defense like this and then just dump the rest here into the attacking stat. This is technically the bump here at 198, but you have a couple EVs left over. Let's just push it to 200, right? And then Ogerpon here. So lots of different Ogerpon sets that you can have. And really what separates each Ogerpon apart is your speed tier. It really just depends on how fast you want your Ogerpon. Do you want it faster than Chiyus and Urshifus? Do you want it faster than Landorus? You have a lot of flexibility with how you want to play your Ogerpon. I'm just going to choose a generic Jolly set here. I'm going to put it to 196 investment. This is going to outspeed Landorus. Let's max my attack. And then after that, let's just dump the rest into HP. Very simple Jolly Ogerpon set here. I've done a few others where, you can survive like Glacial Lance calcs. But I have a Grimmsnarl, so I already do that anyway if I have screens. So I might as well just make this a little bit faster and still just max my attack in terms of Jolly over here. And it's almost to the Adamant benchmark anyway. You're about 4 attack off. 176 is the benchmark. So this is still okay. All right, and then the bundle, max speed Timid, with the sash is all we really want out of this thing. Just to be able to, do what it needs to do. Click Icy Wind, live, survive 1 close combat, and then KO next turn with the Freeze Dry. All right, so this is our first variant here for Lunala Miraidon. Okay, you got the Screen Pressure, you got Fake Out, you have Redirection, you have Icy Wind, you have Encore, you have Trick Room. Okay, a lot of good things going for this type of Miraidon team here. So I'm going to show you a couple games where we're using this, so this way you can see how the team plays out a little bit. Okay, so here we have a Calyrex Kyogre team here. So this player actually is one of our viewers, one of our friends. He has the account Sub to Penguin. If you don't know Penguin, he's another YouTuber and he's another very good player from the Philippines. When I saw this name, I actually DM'd him on Twitter. I was like, yo, is this you? And he actually says, yeah, that was me. That was testing a friend's team. was like, oh, okay, well, you know, so shout outs to Penguin for making a cameo appearance on the channel here. So let's see what Penguin's Fred was using here. So, you know, you got Archetypes, you got Basket Legion there. There is an Indeedee. You can already expect some expanding force shenanigans that might come against our Miraidon team here. But this is a game where like Iron Bundle could have a lot of impact here because we have freeze dry pressure against both the Basket Legion, the Kyogre, and even technically the Ogerpon, and as well as the Calyrex, just because we can Icy Wind it, right? So we have those ideas. But ultimately, I just want to start safe with Grimmsnarl and Miraidon here, set up my screens, and deal some damage while I'm at it. There's the Calyrex, there's the Indeedee, right? So he gets to override my terrain, but that's okay, because I can always pivot out here, right? So I'm going to go Terrafray. I have to do that, right? I could have also just started Miraidon in the back here. I'm going to go Light Screen. It's going to taunt me. All right, so taunt Calyrex, that's a thing, right? Volt Switch out of here. That does more than half, which is good. I'm going to go into Bundle here, right? And there's another Follow Me. Okay, he goes for Astro Barrage. My Bundle doesn't get the Sash. Grimmsnarl takes no damage. I don't get the KO on the Indeedee, which is unfortunate, which means my Foul Play does not go into the Calyrex. It goes into the Indeedee instead there, right? Was Rocky Helmet there. There's Kyogre. Okay, this is fine. Okay, because I'm going to go into Miraidon. This was a little risky, right? Because I changed terrain, but I'm going to have to take 2 attacks here. I go for the Icy Wind, right? So I can chip. I need Miraidon to actually, like, survive here. Okay, there's the Water Spout. Does a lot of damage, right? You know, Miraidon can soak, but not that much. All right, and there is an actual Astro Barrage. Somehow my Miraidon lives. Okay, and this just goes to show you how broken Grimmsnarl is. But I still don't like that play just because I could have easily just lost Miraidon here, right then and right there. Okay, but I don't. I actually live it. Okay, I'm trying to Volt Switch out of here. Penguin's in a little bit of trouble here, just because now I have the speed advantage against the Calyrex. Thank you, Iron Bundle. We take out the Calyrex. We preserve Miraidon a little bit later. Okay, for the Kyogre, I'm going to go back into Grimmsnarl here and soak up this Water Spout, okay? So now I get to KO it with Low Kick there. So now he's just down to Basket Legion against all 3 of my mons. There's still Rain turns here. It goes Terra Grass, okay? I'm going to set up Reflect here. Okay, it's not going to matter just because of Last Respects here, but I can at least deal some chip damage into Basket Legion. Okay, Terra Grass, which means I can actually hit him now. There's my Miraidon yet again. This is his last turn of Rain. Of course, he has to go for the Miraidon, otherwise he can't outspeed it next turn. And then we just go for Drain Punch, and Iron Hands is just able to win the game. So ultimately, I was able to survive 2 attacks. It was kind of crazy that how you saw my Miraidon, you know, chipped already like below half, but and it was a single target Astro Barrage. But because I have Light Screen up, I'm able to at least survive with a sliver of health. And then because of that, I was able to KO it after the speed drops, and then, you know, take the game against Penguin over there. But, you know, I still don't like that play that I did, but I feel like, you know, what other real choice that I have just to try and survive it there. All right, but let's show you another game here. All right, so this one's like hard Trick Room here with like Calyrex, Indeedee. Again, there's another Lunala. Like Lunala Calyrex is also another very, very good pairing, which we'll cover later on. But there's, you know, Urshifu. There's a lot of bears on this team, okay? And then there is the Galley, which is really good against Incineroar. So, you know, the very, very nice Pokemon there. Also, that was get Wide too, right? Anyway, so the way I want to lead this, okay, so he's going to go with Indeedee. He's going to go with his Calyrex, right? Which is fine. Okay, I'm going to go with Grimmsnarl. Yet again, old Clover reliable. Here's Miraidon. And again, the Indeedee is going to change the terrain against my Miraidon. But I don't care because I can just pivot it out and come back later. He actually switches out into Ursaluna. The Calyrex really was never the threat here. Actually, technically it was, but I need to get rid of the Indeedee first. Gonna go into Lunala here. Okay, so he goes for Trick Room, which is fine. I was accounting, you know, just to be able to click Wide Guard against the Calyrex here. He goes into his own Lunala, right? Foul Play does so much damage into that Indeedee, which is now Lunala. I'm gonna go for Meteor Beam. Okay, I'm gonna miss. Okay, so that's unfortunate for me. And he roars out my Lunala. Okay, so now there goes my Meteor Beam moves, and I have Iron Hands here. So Headlong Rush does a lot, but I live because we have the best EVs on this channel there. There's the Drain Punch. Okay, Grimmsnarl coming in clutch yet again. This is why I love this mod, ruining all kinds of damage calcs there. The Ursaluna is at its mercy. And I'm shocked it actually didn't even KO there, right? But here's the Calyrex. Gonna go back into Lunala here. Hey, Glacial Lance does a lot, but not that much. Another Facade into my Grimmsnarl. That one does kill the Grimmsnarl. That's okay. All right, still got another turn of Reflect going for me. I got Iron Hands. I got Fake Out Pressure here. Does go for Glacial Lance. I know I can take one just because Iron Hands is so good, but he does go for it later. I know the Ursaluna dies, so really what I want to do is just go for the chip against the Ice Rider, okay, because I know the Ursaluna just drops right here, okay? And now he has to go back into his Indeedee, which is again okay, right? So there it is. But you know, at this point, I don't need the terrain. I just need to finish the job here. So there's follow me. Okay, here's Electro Drift, Indeedee, see you later. And then from here, again, just Moonguise Beam. From this range, we can pick up the Calyrex, and that's really all she wrote there. You have to try and go for the Terra, right? So at the very least, you can try and survive there. But once again, Grimmsnarl proving its worth. All right, so this one is again Zamazenta and Calyrex Shadow Rider. He's got the Iron Valiant, another good wide guard user. There's the Landorus there, which can give Iron Hands and Miraidon some issues. Farigiraf also is there. And then he's got an Ogerpon Heartflame, just the same as us here. So once again, I do need Iron Bundle services just because I have Icy Wind Pressure against both the Landorus and the Calyrex Ice Rider. And then from there, I can handle the Zamazenta with everything else that I have left there. But just like the other games, I'm going to start with Grimmsnarl. I'm going to mitigate a lot of damage. I'm going to go Iron Bundle here. And there's the Valiant, and there is the Ogerpon Heartflame. So this is pretty cool. So what I want to do is maybe catch and a key attack here so I can go for Encore next turn. So I'm going to protect first. I'm going to set up my Reflect here just in case he does go for like some physical damage on the Encore. And he actually goes for Encore, which is a good move. I'm going to go into my Miraidon now. All right, and now I'm going to try and Encore the Encore user, right? And it actually doesn't work. So we learned that interaction, okay? But anyway, it doesn't really matter because now we have all this pressure here. I'm going to go for Freeze Dry. I get the Lucky Freeze, which is nice by me. Okay, there's the Spirit Break, does a lot of damage, but again, it's still fine because I get to do Dazzling Gleam. I get to do a bunch of chip damage there. I probably could have even picked up the KO if I went Terra Fairy, but I didn't need to do it yet. So I pick up the Valiant there, so I don't have to worry about that thing anymore. The Ogerpon is still frozen. Okay, now it comes into Zamazenta. I still got another turn of screens. Okay, I go for Light Screen just to prepare for the Shadow Rider. Okay, and there is the Heavy Slam. I can take it because I had Reflect still active there, right? So, it's good news for me. Alright, now I'm going to go for Thunder Wave into Zom just so that I can get speed control later with my Miraidon over it. I'm sorry, my Lunala over it. Okay, and he gives me the free switch. So, thank you for the free switch. Right, here comes Landorus, and very interesting, it's Landorus and not the Calyrex, right? So, he goes Terra Poison here. So, forced to do that because of Freeze Dry, which means your Zamazenta is not Terra'd. He went for the Sandsear. Okay, I'm going to go for Meteor Beam for a little bit of chip. He didn't protect the Landorus. Alright, so he actually just went with his Terra there. So I'm +1 now, so I can sweep. But I've got Miraidon anyway. So we're just kind of chilling here. So he can protect if he wants, but really, I just need to remove the Zom here with Electro Drift, which we do. Okay, and now even Lunala can beat the Landorus, even if Miraidon wasn't even here to begin with, right? So, but because Miraidon is here and he's not a ground type anymore, we just click Electro Drift and we win the game there. So again, more Grimmsnarl shenanigans, more Iron Bundle shenanigans. You see how good the pair can be on a team like this. All right, so for the next variant, what we're gonna build now is the variant from VR, right? It got top 4 there, and I kind of want to recreate that just because it's actually very, very strong with what it's supposed to do right now. So that one, instead of Grimmsnarl, it was actually using Whimsicott. It was actually using the Urshifu, the Sash Ursh, and it was also involving the Chiyu idea here. So again, Chiyu very good with Miraidon and Lunala. Urshifu, same thing with a Focus Sash. You get an extra lifeline that you can use for clicking Surging Strikes. And ultimately, it's just your physical breaker damage that you can have in the late game. Aqua Jet plus like a key Electro Drift nuke is very, very strong in certain cases there, right? It can actually win you a set, okay? But anyway, with this Ursh, I'm just gonna go Terra Stellar, and I'll still go like Adamant Ursh here with 1 point in the HP, and then just going Adamant over here. Okay, the Lunala set, I will change it up a little bit. This one, I will opt for the Electric Siege, which is a very popular item to use on the Lunala right now. So this is like your Farigiraf, right? I feel like you don't need Farigiraf if you've got Lunala here. I've seen some teams with both Lunala and Farigiraf. I understand it, but I feel like this can be like your new Farigiraf, more or less, somewhat, right? Well, not really, just because you don't have Armor Tail, but you still get some other cool moves here. But anyway, I still will go with Moonguise Beam and Moonblast with Terra Fairy here. I'll just, keep more or less the EVs the same. There was nothing really wrong with it. Okay, it was pretty fine the way it was. The Iron Hands can also stay the same. The Whimsicott here, we can go back to Covert Cloak here. And then Terra Dark here, just so that we don't get taunted potentially. You still have Tailwind, Moonblast. Okay, you still get your Light Screen, and you still have now your Priority Prankster Encore, okay? And the same set that I was using in the other video, I still like to put my Whimsicott here just to outspeed Landorus and have enough bulk where I can survive the Miraidon Electro Drift without necessarily needing Light Screen, which is kind of important. I can also live one Life Orb to Timid 252 Astral Barrage there without even necessarily going into Terra Dark there. So that being said, I like my Whimsicott calc here. And then the Urshifu is, again, we stash this thing, and the Chiyu here, we're just going to keep it a Choice Scarf set with the Terra Ghost option, right? And then Overheat, one big nuke into Zamazenta, just melt it. Dark Pulse, kill a Calyrex one-shot. Snarl, neutralize damage, and, trap things at -1 when you've already picked up 2 KOs is going to be important. And then Heat Wave for a good solid spread move damage here. But this is it. This is another variant that you could do. Okay, and it works. I've been using this one a lot, and I just like how it plays, especially with like the Chiyu idea with Whimsicott, or even like Whimsicott Urshifu, right? You can even just do like Lunala Miraidon right off the rip, of course. But anyway, I'll show you a couple games here, but I also really like this variant that was used in VR. Okay, so this person is also running a Lunala Miraidon team. He's got Instant, he's got Iron Hand, he's got a Chenpao there. Okay, very interesting there. And he's got Wo-Chien. That is also a Pokemon to, consider this form. Where's Marcos when you need him, okay? But anyway, I still like Lunala and our version a little bit more just because, hey, we have a Chiyu here, which can blow up the Wo-Chien if he does bring it. I don't even know if he does, but he's got Lunala Miraidon as well. He's leading both right off the rip. I want to set up my light screen already. He's go Terra Fairy Lunala. I'm going to go Terra Fairy Lunala as well. There's my light screen. Goes for the Volt Switch as expected. He breaks my Shadow Shield, goes into Wo-Chien. Guess what we went into? Okay, there's the Moongeist Beam. All right, my Whimsicott lives. Right, here's my Moonblast. See, there's that's big damage into Wo-Chien, right? Leftovers, okay, but we chipped the Lunala. Okay, he went for Moongeist Beam instead of Moonblast Beam. My Whimsicott lives on 1. Okay, I don't know why he didn't just kill it, but I went for the Wo-Chien kill there. All right, and then he just pretty much just said, yeah, no, I'm out. Yeah, I'm forfeiting. Like, okay, well, sure, I guess. All right, this one was a funny game just because of how nimble our Chiyu is over here. So he's got Kyogre Lunala with the Indeedee shenanigans there. So you can definitely see some expanding force ideas from that Lunala. The Indeedee's, going to take away priority moves against her Kyogre, and then Instant, Ogerpon, Tornadus rounds it out there. It's a pretty interesting, pretty cool team, I'm not going to lie. And the Ogerpon pretty good against what we got. I do like my Urshifu here just because, again, it's boosted damage in the rain. They could bring their own Ogerpon as well, but who do you leave behind in that case? So I'm still going to bring our restricted just because, again, Miraidon is strong, and so is Lunala. Chiyu over here has a strong lead. So I'm going to go, yeah, see, look at this. So Indeedee Kyogre. So I have a lot of Snarl potential. I could Dark Pulse the Indeedee, try and get rid of it. But I want to just keep snarling the Kyogre there. So that's a good pivot into Instant over there. All right, I'm going to click Y-Guard just so he can't click like any kind of spread move there. So I'm going to go for Snarl, and he actually ends up going for the Calm Mind. So that's a smart play. So he goes back to neutral, but, just +1 Spidef. Okay. All right. I'm going to go into my Ursh here. All right, he actually pivots back into the Indeedee, interesting enough, right? So I felt like he could have faked out there if you needed, but, actually he can't just because... maybe he anticipated my Miraidon coming in there, but I don't know. Anyway, so there's the Helping Hand, right? And he goes a little bit even more greedier, right? I just keep clicking Surgeon. I could have even technically Stellared here, but I know this Ogre is like super bulky. It's not going to be enough there, right? So good on the Ogre there. Origin Pulse missing my Chiyu. I feel like that, again, if he hits that, that just picks up. But again, his Ogre's -2 now. Okay, so another Terra Fairy. There's the Indeedee again. All right. Snarl again. I missed the Ogre this time, okay? And I do pick up the Indeedee, so now I will have terrain control the rest of the time. I will have no more redirection to deal with. Origin Pulse missing my Chiyu yet again, okay? And that means I get to stay on the field and keep clicking Snarl. Here comes Miraidon here. You can only fake out one. Either way, it's bad because I can Snarl or kill. I'm just going to Terra Ghost here just in case, but he goes for the fake out and I go for the Snarl. Now this Ogre is -3, okay? And now I'm not prone to a super effective water attack. He finally hits the Origin Pulse, but again, my Chiyu is able to just withstand that. This Ogre is -3. No more rain for you. But the Ogre goes for Protect here. Okay, I just need to get rid of the Instant, right? You know, I would rather trap the ogre in at -3 than have to like try and one-shot it, because the ogre wasn't doing damage anyway. But yeah, so now he brings in his Lunala, right? And that is also something that I can snarl. He could wide guard, okay, but he chose not to wide guard, right? And instead, you know, I can just nuke here, right? And either way, the Kyogre was going to die regardless, right? So there's the Trick Room. It doesn't matter at this point because, you know, it's a 3-on-1. He does get rid of my Miraidon there. But again, that just means we get to snarl it and we get to KO it, and that's pretty much all she wrote. So thank you, Chiyu. All right, this one is the Joe UX9 variant, right? With the Volcarona Screens and Ditto. Now you have a Zamazenta on this, right? And it's still this is another variant that you can definitely use. So you can definitely consider giving it a go. I know Roby VGC, you know, just put this out there. So this might have been somebody else trying to test it, but I like Urshifu Iron Hands here. I just want to just not deal with this Grimmsnarl. I just want to click Fake Out and click Surging Strikes. And this way I don't have to deal with it. So you can Volt Switch, that's fine. This is why Sash is really good. All right, you can go into your Zom, that's okay. I just need to get rid of this Grimm off the field. So Surging Strikes into this is very important here, right? And we do pick up the KO into the Grimmsnarl, thankfully. All right, so no screens for you. Here comes Miraidon again. My Iron Hands is boosted damage, by the way. But he goes for a Draker into the Iron Hand and it misses, right? And that's fine because I was always clicking Drain Punch into Zamazenta to get it back, right? But now I can just Aqua Jet and go for a potential Drain Punch. There's the Draco, okay? And, you know, Body Press, either way, you know, if you went into that slot, I would have just close combated. So I was always KOing the Zamazenta either way because he can only KO one. There's the Ditto. I'm going to go into Chiyu here. You can definitely copy the Chiyu if you want. I'm not going to go into my restricted. All right, so I go for Snarl. I'm faster. Miraidon is now trapped here at -2. Okay, and there's a Draco that's not going to do that much damage anymore. It definitely doesn't do damage. Okay, and I live everything. Okay, thank you. There's the Drain Punch target. Iron Hands gets the chill here. This Miraidon cannot do any more damage. Right, there's another Snarl. Okay, he can go for another Draco, which he does do. It still almost kills me, right? Could have crit, but there's the low kick, and that's really all she wrote there. So again, the key was making sure Grimmsnarl was not a Pokemon. We got to click Fake Out, and we got to click Surging Strikes, Stellar Surging Strikes, and basically remove it from the field before it could even do something. All right, so another variant that you could do with Lunala Miraidon is to use the Ursaluna idea. So basically, with this, like I mentioned, you can Volt Switch and Trick Room, turn 1 and then pivot into your Ursaluna, and then you're locked and loaded to sweep under Trick Room with your Guts fully activated here. So I do like Instant for this just because you have a lot more pivot options here. So you have Volt Switch and you have Incineroar here that can do this for you. So you can do Fake Out, Trick Room, Parting Shot into, you know, Ursaluna, and then from there, you know, Miraidon can come in the game and finish off in the back after Trick Room is over. Then from here, I still like Whimsicott for your fast mode. If you still want to do Grimmsnarl stuff, you can definitely do Grimmsnarl stuff. And then from here, I like another redirector here. I do like the Ogerpon Cornerstone, you know, just because Sturdy is very, very busted. Ivy Cudgel, Power Whip, Follow Me, and Spiky Shield, okay? Then your Whimsicott, the same things that you've been doing, but this one is going to get the Sash, by the way. So I like Sash Whims. Then we're going to go Terra Ghost here, right? There's our Ghost, and then we're still gonna have Moonblast. We're still gonna have Tailwind. Okay, where's my Tailwind? We're still gonna Tailwind, and then Encore is okay, and then Protect. So I don't necessarily need the Light Screen here. I have Instant for damage mitigation, so that this is okay, right? So I'm still gonna do 252 Timid with the Sash, and same thing with the Ogerpon. He's also just gonna go Jolly Nature here. Okay, and my Instant, I'm gonna go with that bulky Rocky Helmet set. The Impish build that we have grown to come and love. I'm going to go Ghost Terra here. So this is Fake Out, Parting Shot, Knock Off, and Will-O-Wisp for, you know, our burn needs. I'm going to go Impish. Okay, some starter ideas. Again, Impish 252, 188. And then for the Urshifu Calc, and then 68 Spit F over there, right? That's all I need out of my Incineroar. And in the Ursaluna, of course, with the Flame Orb. Okay, and then you can go Terra Poison here. I have seen Terra Poison rising a little bit just because of that fighting resistance. Headlong Rush, Facade, you can click Earthquake, okay, and then you can also just simply click Protect here. I like to optimize my HP for my burn chip, so I'm going to put 140 investment, 223, right? So the 16N-1 rule, So this way, it's like opposite of Rillaboom. You want to undercut it by 1. So this way, you can cheat the HP threshold by 1 point. So right here, if you go here, you're going to take perfectly 12 damage of Flame Orb chip per turn. But now if you go 223, now it's a decimal. It'll round down to the next number. In this case, it'll go to 11. I'm going to go to Brave Nature here. 0 speed, of course. Let's go to the benchmark, 236 attack. And then you can just dump the rest here into special defense. That's all you really want out of your Ursaluna. Miraidon can pretty much stay the same. And same thing here with this Lunala over here. It can also stay consistent. You can also even just drop this and just go back over here. You're not really clicking Meteor Beam and whatnot. So that's another thing you can consider. This is Fairy, this is Fairy. Poison, Ghost, and we got our Rock Terra. So this is another variant. So again, we got the double Luna build. It's back. Okay. This time we got some new friends here. We got Lunala on our side, and same thing with Orgrippon Cornerstone. So let's see how we can use this combo. Okay, so this one looks like Calyrex and Zamazenta with the Chiyu here. I do like that idea. And then, oh, look at that. Dragonite Chenpao. Oh, we got some E-Speed shenanigans over here. And he's got his patented Tornadus for his own speed control. So I'm going to go with Instant Miraidon here just to see if he does do, yep, he does do the Chenpao Dragonite stuff here. So I can't intimidate his Dragonite, but I can intimidate his Chenpao, which is important, right? So I get to live his Ice Attack. And there's the Terra Ghost. That's fine. All right, Ice Spinner comes out. I was never going to click Fake Out into that slot, by the way. Dazzling Gleam is good. Okay, it forced him to go Terra Ghost. Outrage kills my Miraidon. That's okay. I don't mind that. All right, because now we get to remove his Dragonite. And this Chenpao is -1. His Sash is broken. Instant is healthy. Here comes my Ursaluna, locked and loaded. That Calyrex cannot click his Astral Barrage into my Ursaluna. So I'm just going to protect first. Okay, goes for the Astral. That's fine. Okay, even if he's Sacred Sworded, it's not going to kill its Life Orb. I just see that. All right, there's the Ice Spinner. That's okay. All right, and the Yeet. Goodbye, Calyrex. Thank you for letting your Calyrex die so easily. Not even Sash there. All right, because the Sash was on the Chenpao. So now here's the Zamazenta. This is easy from here. Okay, I'm going to just Terra, Poison. Look at that. Ice Spinner, easy resistance. He's -1. Body Press does remove the instant, but that's not the point anymore because Headlong Rush just cleans up his Zamazenta even at +1 there, right? So now we get to bring in our good friend Lunala. Okay, and he can only beat 1 there, and then he just forfeits because he knows a -1 Chenpao without a Sash cannot beat either of these mons. Okay, we got Swordfish here. This is Zacian Kyogre stuff with Tornadus and Amoonguss, Instant, and not Instant, Urshifu and Rillaboom. So very standard Swordfish team. This is another good starter team that you can use with this combination. This one's coming up relatively soon on the channel. I feel like I want to do Koraidon first. But anyway, so here we go. Lunala comes out here, and I'm going to go Instant. I want to intimidate everything he's got there. He goes for Urshifu and Rillaboom. This is good. All right, the Urshifu doesn't, not so much, but the Rillaboom, yes. So I'm going to go Terra Fairy here just in case. He goes for Fake Out into the Instant. If he wants CC, I'm going to live it. And if he CCs the Instant, he's going to break his Sash, and then I'm going to destroy him, right? So he clicks Wicked Blow. That's fine. Now here's the Moonblast. Okay, there's the Sash. Okay, a little bit of recovery for everything. All right, and really, I just want to remove that Ursh, right? So it goes for Protect. That's fine. There's the Drum Beam. I don't know what he was doing there. Okay, I'm just going to click Will-O-Wisp into that Rillaboom, make it super weak. All right, Moonblast comes out from Ursh. I know he can't beat my Lunala like this. So, I'm totally fine with a Burn Rillaboom here and this Urshifu at -1 with the CC stuff. So he goes into Zacian here. That's also totally fine as well. All right, close combat. I get to live it. All right, he chips himself and actually kills himself. All right, I could have even, parting shotted, but I chose not to. That would have been a best play, right? So best case scenario. But, this is still very, very workable in our favor. Burn Rillaboom and Zacian. Just go into Miraidon here, okay? And I'm going to double pivot into Ursaluna, actually, right? So there's the Fake Out, okay? And he went for Sacred Sword into the Ursaluna. That's okay, because now Miraidon gets to switch in for free. We're faster than Zacian because I know he's probably a faster Zacian than us, right? I just need to remove the Rillaboom first, right? I know he's scared of the Ursaluna trying to go for the Headlong Rush there, but in reality, Rillaboom was the main. But I just need to get rid of that. Here comes Kyogre. That's fine, because again, he doesn't really have anything left in this. Trickum is still up. Ursaluna is locked and loaded. Zacian can't protect again. Can't even switch. So this was an easy Headlong Rush. And then Miraidon, we can take one Ice Beam, I guess. or we can take one Water Spout, ideally, and then we just beat it afterwards. So, you know, good job, Ursaluna. Okay, so this next build I'm going to show you, this is the last one in the video. This one is actually not even going to be like Trick Room Lunala. We're still going to have Wygar, but this is going to be our Calm Mind Lunala set here. So how are we going to do this? So that means we're going to need at least 2 fake out users, a screen, maybe redirection support. But ideally, this Lunala could sweep as well alongside with Miraidon, as long as we can set it up properly with our support options, right? So I'm still going to go with this set here. Now, the only change I'm going to make is I'm going to take off 1 here and put an even number in my special attack, making sure that I have even numbers in the special attack and SPDF department over there. Electric Seed, so I'm going to have a defense boost, and I'm going to have Incineroar Intimidating, and I have Calm Mind boost. This Lunala is not going to die all that much. I'm going to add Grimmsnarl here. I'm going to add Iron Hands here, so I'm going to have double fake out and screens, and then I'm going to have Urshifu here just to come in and deal breaker damage alongside Iron Hands here. So this will still get the sash. Okay, you know, we can still go Terra Stellar. All right, same stuff. Surging Strikes, Close Combat, Aqua Jet, and Protect. I should have just kept the other Ursh, right? Okay, Max Speed, totally fine. Let's go Adamant Nature. Grimmsnarl, we can still pretty much use the same set, right? So I'm just gonna like copy paste, right? I still like Covert Cloak Grim just because, you know, I can get away with the fake out stuff. Light Screen, I mean, you know, the Light Clay is also like very, very solid stuff. And you still have light, you know, Thunder Wave. So I still think this is pretty good. So you got double fake out, you got screens, okay? And you have speed control with Thunder Wave here. So I like this. And then the Iron Hand set can also just come back. It is pretty much just a repeat set there with the Drain Punch, Low Kick, Heavy Slam, and of course our fake out move over there. So this is Calm Mind Lunala now, okay, with the Miraidon stuff here. So let me show you this game. And let me show you how to set up Calm Mind Lunala. Alright, so this is a Zamazenta Calyrex idea. Alright, he's got Tornadus Chenpal there. So very standard stuff along with Urshifu. So pretty standard Zamazenta Calyrex team here. So I got the Calm Mind stuff. So let's see if I'm able to actually set this up. So I'm going to go with my screens. Okay, it's going to go Rillaboom. Alright, he's going to go Calyrex. Okay, looking to reset my terrain if I did bring out Miraidon. But it's going to be good old classic Sword and Shield, Instant Grimmsnarl. This is one of my favorite leads. All right, damage mitigation all around. So he clicks fake out. That's fine. I'm gonna go for light screen. There's the nasty plot. Okay, that's a little scary because now he can outpace my light screen. So he can set up himself, right? With just 1 fake out user. Very interesting. All right, Terra Dark Calyrex is actually crazy just because I can't click my prankster moves against that. So Thunder Wave. All right, this is, you know, I'm still taking that relatively well. It's Life Orb Calyrex. Okay, U-turn comes out, chips himself. Okay, this is still pretty good. He goes into Zamazenta. That's totally fine. All right, I'm going to Parting Shot, break this down to -1. All right, let's go into Lunala over here. Because now what I can do is just go Terra Fairy. I can blast this thing up. All right, which is exactly what I'm going to do. All right, I'm going to click Reflect just to take some damage from Zam if I can. Astro Barrage comes out, even if this Calyrex was +1. Like, Lunala just eats it. Behemoth Bash comes out. Grimmsnarl, you did your service. Thank you for giving me my screens. Moonblast absolutely runs through the Calyrex. That's all I needed from Lunala, man. And now he goes into Rillaboom. This is fine. I'm going to go into Instant. I intimidate everything. So I'm just going to pivot out into Miraidon here. Just try and get an advantage. I know he wants to click fake out. Right? I need my defense boost against Zam. But now look at this. There's the Behemoth. That we eat that. Thank you for the screens. All right? Now we just go Calm Mind here. All right? And there's a Protect. That's okay. And there's an Electrogif. That's also totally fine. We don't need that. All right, Moonblast comes out. Strong. There's the U-turn. Also pretty good. And to Chenpal. Again, he's got his sash, but I have a Terra Fairy Lunala with a defense boost. Okay, there's another Ice Spinner. He blows up terrain. That's okay. All right, all I need is the chip onto the Zam. Okay, there's a Body Press. We eat it because, again, we have Reflect up. All right, and now we get rid of the Zamazenta, right? You know, Lunala +1 with Calm Mind is great. Rillaboom again, actually Rillaboom helps me because I get more grassy terrain recovery. Now we just have these guys trapped. We -1 them thanks to Instant. I still have Reflect going. He actually blows up his own terrain, funny enough. Okay, which is fine. He can do that. Drum Beating, man, that is a tech. But that is nowhere near enough damage, and he has no choice but to forfeit because, again, I have Fake Out on my side, and Lunala is still poised to sweep from here. All right, so we'll put on the pace one more time here. So this is the first one where, you know, we had Grimmsnarl, Ogerpon, and Iron Bundle to round out our screen set here. Now, notice this has a tiny little bit of bulk that we put on the Miraidon. This is also what we did in the previous video. This is just to survive the Iron Hands low kick. But otherwise, if you still like the 252 Modest, you can definitely do that. We have this is the Meteor Beam Lunala, so a little bit more offensive. You can KO instant stuff turn 1 if you want. Otherwise, you're hiding behind the bulk of Grimmsnarl here, and then Iron Hands Hard Flame can just come in and start dealing big damage behind the screens here. The second variant was the top 4 variants from Victory Road, where you had the Hyper Offensive mode with Whimsicott. You still have Chiyu, Urshifu here, along with Iron Hands doing what they do best. This is Wide Guard Trick Room stuff, so no need for Meteor Beam anymore. This one is the Ursaluna variant, right? I call it Double Luna because you have Lunala and Ursaluna. The idea here is to, again, use your Incineroar to help you pivot into position for, just resetting terrain, or pivot in your Ursaluna on their Trick Room. You could Volt Switch Trick Room turn 1, bring in the Ursaluna, and then from there, let Incin or the others back you up later on, right? But this is the other variant that you can do. And then finally, the Calm Mind Screens variant, right? With Grimmsnarl and Incin and Iron Hands double fake out screens. Just try and set up the Lunala here with Calm Minds. You essentially becomes hard to break, especially like both Iron Hands and Lunala. You have the Assault Vest, you have Incin for physical damage mitigation, you got Parting Shot and Will-O-Wisp. Okay, you got Calm Mind as well. So Lunala, very, very hard to remove. And if you get even just 2 Calm Minds, you just start chipping here with Moongeist Beam, Moonblast. All right, and then Miraidon can also help you out with, with a bunch of chip damage at the same time. Okay, so all 4 are going to be in the video description below. So give any of these a go. Give Lunala Miraidon a try. And again, if you're interested in other pairs and you're not really sure how to go about it, and you're already playing in a future tournament, make sure you sign up for a team building session on the channel. Tier 3 sub gets you a one-on-one session with me where we can sit down and build a squad from scratch with EVs just like these. And you can just join the Discord. You can reach out on Discord, and then from there we'll find a time to meet to build the squad that you need to be able to be successful in the early goings of Regulation I. Okay, but that's it. So we'll continue building other restricted pairs, but hopefully the ones that we put out already you've had some good success with already. I know a lot of people have. I've seen some DMs, so people have been happy. We made their lives easier just because they have something that they can test with, because sometimes the building part is a little bit tricky and a little bit unfamiliar for some. All right, but that's what we do best over here. All right, but that's it. We'll be back with another video in the next one. Peace out and have a good evening.